Hello and hello everybody, my name is Lucy and welcome to Books and Brushes. Today it is spooky time because it is Halloween, woohoo! It's October, it's officially Halloween, don't care what anybody says. If you're allowed to start celebrating Christmas months and months before, I'm allowed to be October to be Halloween, okay? It's official. Halloween is a great time because you got all the spooky vibes, the festivities and all the spooky books. And you'll definitely want to be reading some spooky books this month. I don't know, it's something so atmospheric about this time. And I've read a lot of books and I've got a few that I think are very Halloweeny and that can get you in the zone. So let's talk about my recommendations for Halloween books. And we all know this list is, temporary because by next year I'll have read a lot more books, so hopefully I'll have a lot more recs. Today is what books I recommend you should read in the Halloween spooky month. Let's go. Number 1. Is anyone surprised? No, I didn't think so. Unwind. Now, I know I plug this a lot, but it's so spooky and unnerving and creepy. And hello, Halloween. It's great. Not only is it the best story ever, because it is, but it's great for this time of year because of those spooky vibes and those unnerving feelings that it gives you. All those thoughts about life and death and souls and being chopped into little pieces and spread among the world. You could argue that's creepy, and that's why it's great for Halloween. It's got so many spooky vibes and unnerving, spine-tingling feelings. It's very intense. It focuses on characters that are pretty evil. There are some POVs from some nasty folks. I'm looking at you, Nelson. Looking at you. And it is great for Halloween and all year round. But it's great for Halloween, so it's on this list. Number 2, let's carry on with those spooky surprises because you're also surprised by this recommendation, right? Right. Harry Potter. Now, Harry Potter is all year round. The story takes place throughout the year, so you have all the seasons and you can read Harry Potter whenever. But for some reason, it's very fall-centric. I think September's the month of going back to Hogwarts. October, obviously, Halloween is usually a big event in all of the books, and then Christmas is. So if you start reading the series around about now, you can spend the last few months of the year in a Harry Potter marathon, and it just suits all those vibes really, really well. Summer isn't exactly the best time for Harry, even though it's his birthday. It's never a good time. These spooky feelings, it's witches, it's wizards, it's potions and deceptions, it's the Dark Lord, and it's spooky, it's Halloweeny, and it's perfect. So, Harry Potter's number 2. Now let's get on to the ones you didn't know I was going to say. I realise I didn't hold up the Harry Potter book during any of that, but you know what it looks like. Okay, so now we've got those 2 rather obvious ones out of the way, let's get on to some books that I think are really great for this Halloween time. So the first or third, depending on when you think this list starts, is After Anna by Alex Lake. Now, I've mentioned this book before, but I don't talk about it loads, and I've only read it once, but I loved it. It was a book my mother gave me because she read it and loved it and just gave it to me, and then I got my dad to read it, so it's kind of it's gone through the family. It's a crime mystery thriller, so it's about this little girl called Anna who gets abducted, and the story follows her mother and the fallout and the grief and just the entire situation after her daughter is abducted. It's her having to struggle with the guilt and the grief and the media who isn't on her side, since she was the one who was late to pick up her daughter and everyone blames her for losing her. Even her ex-husband blames her. She's not having a good time. This book was so intense and gripping. Anything about a child abduction and from the perspective of the mother is gonna be pretty tense. The mystery of this and how it happens and why and just the villainy of it, super, super Halloween. You could read this and get all those Halloween vibes. I know a lot of people like to read mysteries and thrillers because it's just perfect for this time. And this has all of that. Not only does it have all that, but it also has the perspective from the culprit. Yes, we have POV from the abductor. Now, You might think, well, doesn't that kind of ruin the ending and the surprise of who kidnapped her? No, it doesn't, because it doesn't tell you who the abductor is. It gives you just their view of them watching the media and the mother react to what they've done. But it doesn't tell you who it is. It drops subtle little clues, but it doesn't tell you. And that's even creepier, that you're reading it from the abductor's perspective, but you don't know who they are. And you can see them doing their evilness and still not know who they are. And that's creepy and mysterious. And the plot twist is great when we find out who it is. It's a great moment. I got it just before the perfect time. And it's just a great book if you want those kind of vibes. Now, obviously this book does deal with a lot of grief and a lot of upset, so those kind of things trigger you. It's a great book for those Halloween-y vibes, and it's one nobody talks about. I've never heard anyone mention this book, so if you want something a little bit different, something that you don't have to jump on the hype train for, something to have like no expectations while going in, After Anna is your baby. While we're on the crime thriller stint, another book that is great for this time of the year for all the same reasons is You by Caroline Kepnes. Now, that last book was creepy. Creepy, next level creepy. Really creepy. This book had the sole POV of a stalker. I would say more, but he does a lot of bad things. And you are from his perspective the entire book. A really cool writing device that's used in the story is, well, it's the title, you. That personal pronoun is used a lot. Basically what I mean by that is the perspective of this book is the stalker stalking this girl, but he talks about it as if the girl he's stalking is you, the reader. So he says, I saw you the other day, you were just over there, I think you were thinking about this. So he makes you the character that he's stalking. It's such a clever writing device because he's talking about another character that you get to know, but when he talks about it as if it's you, and that's just, it makes everything so much creepier because it's like he is stalking you and all these things he does and thinks is about you. That's why the book has to be called You, because it's just such a prominent word in this story, and that perspective is so clever and I've never seen it before. It's perfect for this story, it's used in such great effect. This guy is beyond creepy. I mean, there is extreme violence of all kinds, so again, trigger warnings. So if you're looking for that creep factor and something scary that's dangerous and just that whole feeling of this book, it's like you're on the edge, like you are watching this man watching you, who's not you, but he's talking to you, and like, I don't know how it works, but it does. It's extremely violent, extremely creepy, stalkering times 1000. There are a lot of bad crap happens, so be prepared. This is perfect for anybody who likes kind of the inner workings of a criminal mind. Like, I love watching Criminal Minds, the TV show. Anyone who loves that kind of thing, you know, the inner workings of a criminal and their brain and why they do what they do, understanding these crimes and why they have these obsessions. And anyone who has any of those kind of likes for books, this is perfect, and I wish I'd have read it in October because it's perfect for this month, and I recommend you pick it up. Now, you should be well acquainted with this book since I've talked about it a lot recently because I read it really recently, and that is One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. Now, I'll go over this briefly because, like I said, I've talked about this one a lot recently with my wrap up and everything like that. This is such a good book, so good. It takes place in September, October, so it's that time of year in the book, and obviously it's a crime thriller. For those of you who don't know, it's about a murder investigation, so again, you get why it's October-y. Crime thrillers and mysteries just suit Halloween. They're spooky, they're mysterious, they're usually got violence, and they're just great Halloween reads, so that's why obviously the latest 3 on this list have all been about crime. But yeah, this one is about 5 students who go into a detention. One of them does not come out. He is murdered, and all of the rest of the students are suspects. They go through the investigation and the fallout, and all of their secrets, well, they're not going to be secret for long. It's such a good book, this one. I love the characters, I love the plot points, I love the mystery. Plot twist is perfect in this. Again, I've said this a lot, I guessed it right before it happened, and that's always the best moment because it's not so early we're like, oh, that's disappointing because I predicted it. but it's right before, so you feel proud of yourself, but it didn't ruin the story because it was right before. It's got that tense feeling. It's probably not as intense as You or Anna, because those are way more intense. It takes place in this time of the month, and crime thrillers, mysteries. It's a great book, so just pick it up. October's the perfect time to read it. As I said earlier, Halloween is a super atmospheric time of year. And when I think of atmospheric, there is one book that really shines out, and that is Curveball by Stephanie Garber. Wow, this book is heavy. Mystery, spookiness, and atmosphere, that's this book. Again, I've read this book once, and I read it way back when it first came out. But yeah, so if you don't know, if you missed out on the hype train when this did come out, this is about a spooky, magical, and mysterious carnival called Curveball, which takes place on like this island, and it's invite only. It's very elite and specialist and exclusive, and there is these two girls, these sisters, who always wanted to go to Curveball when they were little, and one day they get invites as adults, so they decide to drop everything and they just have to escape what's going on at home, and they decide to go to Curveball. But things take a dark twist when one of the sisters goes missing, and the whole event of Curveball for everyone is to find that sister. And obviously the sister is determined to be the one to find her, because she's the one responsible for her, to look after her, and this carnival is definitely darker than she expected. I can't quite describe the feeling you get while reading this book. Like, it's so dark and mysterious, and the description, the language is so rich. I can picture it so clearly in my mind. It's just those visuals and those feelings, those senses. All of that is described so well and so magical and mysterious, and you never quite know what's going on in this book. Like, the plot and the storyline is a maze of twists and turns, and that is what makes this book so creepy. Like, you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's real, what's fantasy. It's such a strange and bizarre book. It has this dark and creepy atmosphere. Even before they get to Curveball, like their home life, like everything is just, if I could imagine this as a movie, the colour tones would be grey and really muted in palette, you know? I'm sorry, I'm an artist. Artist words. Just this whole thing is like so rich in colour and texture, and that makes me think of Halloween. Like, it's all set at like night, mostly in the dark, with the lights, and obviously that mystery of her trying to find her sister. There's a lot of intense feelings and moments, and never knowing what's real. It's like a crazy haunted house, essentially. I mean, they are basically on a treasure hunt for the sister, and this book will give you those Halloweeny vibes if you need that in your life. For our next book, we're again going on a confusing route, but that is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, and obviously the rest of the Raven Boys quartet. So this series is so magical and strange. I think Maggie Stiefvater can be summed up with the word strange. It's like science meets magic. It's like psychic and the vibes of like celestial. I can't even really describe this, but there is mystery and there is a hunt for a long lost dead king. It's spooky. So if you don't know what The Raven Boys is about, let me catch you up to speed. So The Raven Boys is about a group of friends who are on a joined mission to find a long lost dead Welsh king. Yep, that's a mouthful. So Gansey is like the leader of this group, and he has this obsession with history and this king, and the legend that if you find him you can make a wish. And all of this is intertwined with magic and psychics and all sorts of strange happenings going on. It takes place in Virginia, and Gansey manages to recruit a group of friends who all have their own strange dealings to go with. Ronan, who can steal things from dreams, Adam, who is linked to magic and ley lines and whose body isn't really his anymore, and a terrible home life just to add in some more angst, a boy whose life is definitely not his anymore, and Blue, the daughter of many psychics living in a house of just complete whimsy and crazy, and who is destined to kill her first true love. and she has a feeling that might be Gansey. All of the series is so magically weird. Like, Maggie Stiefvater's books, all of them are so magically bizarre and strange. But this one I loved. There's another book called All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater that does still have that strange feeling, but I just didn't enjoy the story as much in that one. But this one, I really loved the story, and the characters just really gripped me. I don't know why the other one, it had the same vibe, and yet I wasn't feeling it. But in this series, I was feeling it, and it's definitely a slant on the kind of Halloween vibes you might be looking for. It may not be the classic Halloween pumpkins, but it is spooky, strange, mysterious. It's got prophecies and destinies, and it's about dreams and magic, and just go with it. It's one of those books where you just have to fly with where it goes, and you'll be surprised where it takes you. The book had me so tense and so on edge and so ready for every next page, and I think it's such a good, mysterious, unusual one to read this Halloween. Next up, we have another book that is, like Curveball, very atmospheric and whimsical almost, and that is Nevermore. Definitely a whimsical book. As I've said before, this reminds me of Harry Potter so much, and not in the way that it's like trying to rip off Harry Potter and be that, but just the feeling it gives you of home and of magic and whimsy. This is about a girl called Morgan Crowe who lives with a family who does not like her. Harry Potter. And basically she is a curse. Everything that goes wrong is her fault, because she is cursed to just make things around her unlucky. And the whole town and her whole family kind of just blames her for literally everything and anything that happens. There is a dark force after her, because she was destined to be killed on her 10th birthday. One day, a mysterious and bizarre man comes to take her away to a magical new place, and she must fight to stay and live there, somewhere where that spirit cannot get her. Otherwise, if she's stuck back home, she will surely die. It's such a magical fantasy world, this. I can't even remember the name of the town she's from. Like, it's a long time ago since I read this book, but I still have all the feelings it gives me, the whimsy, and I can see it in my mind. Now, tell me that doesn't look like Halloween. Tell me. Go on. Look at it. Oh, it's beautiful, beautiful. So this is the town, and that's the clock tower. Just look at those greys and that gold. Oh, it's just, I mean, look at these spirits. This is what's after her to kill her. Look how beautiful this is, and this is like Halloween aesthetic beauty. If that doesn't scream Halloween just from the cover of this beautiful book, this whole book has this vibe. Like, this cover perfectly sums up how I felt and what I saw when reading this book. Serious, and it's about fight. You know, this girl is fighting to live. It will definitely give you that sweet Halloween vibe that you're looking for. It's another middle grade, so it's perfect if you're looking for books for maybe your kids to get them in the Halloweeny spirit. It's so beautiful, and it definitely will give you those Halloweeny vibes. Next up, we have a very intense book, and that is The Running Man by Stephen King. Stephen King is one of those Halloween authors. I don't think anybody could dispute that. It, The Shining, it's all super Halloween, but I have not read any of those books. I have read this book, and I can attest to the intense nature of it. This book is just so gripping and intense. It makes you clench when you read it. This story is so gritty and raw and dark, and hello, Halloween. This book is about a man who is dirt poor. His family is not doing so great. His daughter is ill, and he's not got very many options left. But his only option is he goes to this network of like television shows, and all of them are like game shows where you have to like do horrible things. You make a bit of cash, and he auditions, and he gets put in the worst show you could possibly fall into, and he becomes the Running Man. That game show is where he must go out into the world and survive for a set period of time, and everyone is after him. All these police and special agents are trying to catch him, and obviously way more skilled, trained than him. He is outnumbered, outgunned, and he's got no help. Like, all the public is after him as well because they can get money just from catching sight of him and giving them tip-offs. But every day he survives, he gets more money for his family. Even when he eventually dies, everyone's like, he will die. No one ever survives this game show. It's just, how long will he survive and how much money can he make for his family? To just earn as much money as possible for his family and evade the capture and inevitable death. But what these game show owners don't know is that, yeah, most people die, but not everyone is going to die. And this is the one character who has the best shot at survival. And he does better than anyone expects him to. He breaks all the records, he makes it so much further than any of the other candidates ever have. And the makers of the show are worried that he could actually live long enough to get the jackpot prize and live. And they don't want that because there's a lot of money to give out and I'd rather just kill him. This book is like extreme dystopian and it is so intense. It's full of like wild language and violence, but it's so gritty. It's this guy against the world, and the world is nasty, the world is sour, and the guys that are after him, like, whew. This book is intense and it's gripping. He's never safe, so you're never safe reading it, and it's just every moment is intense. The chapters are really quick, and if that's the kind of Halloween read you want, this is a great option for you. And hello, Stephen King, you know it's going to be intense and Halloweeny, so if you've read it, you know, you're kind of done with The Shining. If you want something a little different, it's got all the plot and the amazingness of a dystopian, but all those intense vibes for Halloween. And lastly, my 10th book to share with you is Echoes by Laura Tisdale. Again, I've mentioned this a lot recently and I've mentioned it before, but it's great, so can you mention it enough times? I don't think you can. This story is about Mallory, a teenage girl who is a hacker, and she is one of the best. She just understands the world of computers and numbers more than she understands people and life. Home life isn't the best, but this is her only escape, and it's the one thing she knows how to do unequivocally. Until one day, hackers start going missing, and her world is just in more danger than she ever felt before. Even though the things she's doing weren't strictly legal, now she's finally going to face consequences for this because she can't call the police because, you know, of the illegal nature of what's going on, and she has to break out of her bubble and do things in real life, which is not where she likes to shine. This book is so good, it's just brilliant. The characters are great, the storyline and the mystery is amazing because there is a mystery of who's abducting these hackers, you know, and it's just, oh, it's so good. The plot twist is great, just the whole way the story has been weaved together. It's quite dark, story is very muted, and that's why I think it has that Halloween vibe, the intense mystery of it. It's not maybe quite as Halloweeny as the rest of the books I've mentioned, but it's such a good intense mystery that I think it qualifies for this list anyway. The story is about trust and about going out of your comfort zone and the things you're forced to do. It's about friendships and what really counts as friends. And this book is just dark in a way that the others weren't dark. It's just such a great mystery story. It's a story for any time of the year, but it would be a great read for October. And if you're looking for something not super Halloweeny, something a bit lighter, something that you can read any time but has a great mystery, great tension and great plot and storyline and plot twist, this has everything. I love this book so much, I can't recommend it enough, and that is why it's the last book on my list. I hope you enjoyed my list today. I like to vary it, so there were some that were super gritty and dark, others that were a bit whimsical and magical, others that were atmospheric, and others that just had great mysteries. Others that had grief, others that had violence. There's a bit of everything, a bit of something for everyone here, and I hope at least one of those sparks your interest enough to read this Halloween. And I really hope if you do decide to pick it up that you enjoy any of the books on this list. I love Halloween and I can't wait to read more spooky books that I can recommend for next year and the year after and forevermore. And I hope you have a happy Halloween. Enjoy October, have fun with your spooky books, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!